They said I was just the help, that a woman like me, cleaning his floors, scrubbing his toilets, could never be seen with a man like him. But what they didn't know? Sometimes love doesn't care about your bank account. Sometimes it just happens. And when it did, everything changed. Before I tell you how a billionaire fell for the woman cleaning his penthouse, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because this story, it's going to make you believe in love again. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single moment. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Taylor, and 3 years ago I was invisible. You know that kind of invisible where people look right through you? Where you're in the room but nobody really sees you? That was me. A 32-year-old single mother working 3 cleaning jobs just to keep the lights on in our cramped one-bedroom apartment. My baby girl Genesis, she was 7 then, smart as a whip and twice as beautiful. Every morning I'd wake up at 5, kiss her sleeping face, and head out into the dark to scrub other people's dirt so she could have a better life than I did. I'd been cleaning houses since I was 19. It wasn't the dream, you know. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a singer, wanted to stand on stages and make people feel something with my voice. But life had other plans. Got pregnant young and suddenly dreams took a back seat to diapers and daycare. Her father, gone before Genesis even said her first word. So it was just us, me and my girl against the world. The day everything changed started like any other Tuesday. My supervisor at Premium Elite Cleaning Services called me into her office. She had this look on her face like she was about to tell me I won the lottery. "Taylor," she said, "we're assigning you to a new client. High profile, very high profile. Penthouse in the Diamond Tower." I felt my stomach flip. The Diamond Tower was where the real money lived, the kind of money that had its own zip code in the clouds. She handed me the keys and gave me the rules. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't touch anything you're not cleaning. Be invisible. I nodded, stuffed down my nerves, and showed up the next morning at 6 a.m. sharp. Let me tell you, walking into that penthouse was like stepping into another universe. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city, marble everywhere, art on the walls that probably cost more than I'd make in my entire lifetime. And silence. The kind of silence that money buys. I stood there for a moment, just taking it in, before I heard footsteps behind me. "You must be the new cleaner." I turned around and there he was, Mr. Harrison, tall, maybe 6'2", brown hair that looked like he'd just run his hands through it, wearing a suit that probably cost $5,000, but his tie was loose like he'd been up all night. Blue eyes that looked tired. So tired. He was younger than I expected. Maybe late 30s, and handsome in that way that makes you nervous. "Yes, sir," I managed. "I'm Taylor. I'll stay out of your way." He nodded, barely looking at me, and walked to his office. And that was it. That was our first meeting. I was the help. He was the billionaire. End of story. Or so I thought. For weeks it was the same routine. I'd show up, he'd barely acknowledge me, and I'd clean that massive penthouse until it sparkled. I learned his patterns. Coffee at 7, conference calls at 8. He worked from home a lot, always on his phone, always stressed. Sometimes I'd hear him through the walls, his voice tight with frustration. Despite having everything, the man seemed miserable. I'd catch myself watching him sometimes. Not in a creepy way, but just wondering. What does it feel like to have all that money and still look so lonely? He never had people over. No friends, no girlfriend. Just him and his expensive furniture and his view of a city full of people he never seemed to connect with. Then came the day that shifted everything. I was cleaning the living room, and I didn't think anyone was home. So I did what I always did when I was alone. I sang. Nothing fancy, just an old gospel song my grandmother used to sing. "His eye is on the sparrow." My voice filled that big, empty space, and for a moment I forgot where I was. Forgot I was just the maid. I was just me. "You have a beautiful voice." I nearly dropped the furniture polish. He was standing in the doorway, leaning against the frame, watching me. Not with that distant look he usually had. Actually watching me. Seeing me. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Harrison, I didn't mean to. Please, don't apologize. It's the first real thing I've heard in this apartment in months." He walked closer. "You sing professionally?" I laughed, but it came out bitter. "No, sir, I clean professionally. Singing's just something I do while I work." "That's a shame," he said, and he meant it. Then he did something that surprised me. He sat down, right there on his expensive couch. "Tell me something, Taylor. Do you like what you do?" Nobody had ever asked me that. Not in 13 years of cleaning. I could have lied, should have lied. But something about the way he was looking at me, like my answer actually mattered, made me tell the truth. "I do it for my daughter, Genesis. She's 7. And if scrubbing toilets means she gets to go to a good school and have the childhood I didn't, then I love what I do." He smiled then. A real smile. It changed his whole face. That's a good answer. After that day, everything was different. He started being there more when I cleaned. Not in a weird way. He'd just talk to me. Ask about Genesis, about my dreams, about what I thought about things. And I'd ask him too. Found out he'd inherited his fortune from his father. A man who'd loved money more than his own son. Found out he was lonely. Found out that behind all that wealth was just a man who wanted something real. The morning Genesis got sick and I had no choice but to bring her to work with me, I was terrified I'd lose my job. But when Mr. Harrison, he told me to call him Christopher that day, when Christopher came out and found my baby girl sitting quietly in the corner with her colouring books, he didn't get angry. He sat down next to her, asked her what she was drawing, made her laugh, and I watched this billionaire man and my little girl talk about butterflies and rainbows, and something in my chest cracked wide open. "She's incredible," he said to me later. "You're doing an amazing job with her." I cried in his bathroom that day because nobody had told me I was doing a good job in so long. The moment I knew everything had changed was on a Wednesday evening. I was running late finishing up, and I'd cut my hand on a broken glass I was cleaning up. Nothing serious, but it was bleeding pretty good. Christopher heard me hiss in pain and came running. He took my hand so gently, cleaned the cut, bandaged it himself. His hands were shaking. "You don't have to do that, Mr. Christopher. I'm fine." "I know I don't have to," he said, still holding my hand even though the bandage was done. "I want to." Our eyes met. And in that moment, everything I'd been trying not to feel came rushing to the surface. The way my heart jumped when I heard his voice. The way I'd started caring about making him smile. The way I'd look forward to our conversations more than anything else in my week. "Taylor," he whispered. And then he kissed me. It was soft, gentle, like he was afraid I'd break. And when we pulled apart, reality crashed down on both of us. I grabbed my things and ran. Literally ran out of that penthouse like the building was on fire. Because I knew this couldn't happen. I was the maid. He was a billionaire. This was a fairy tale, and fairy tales didn't happen to women like me. I called my supervisor the next morning and asked to be reassigned. Made up some excuse. She wasn't happy, but she agreed. I thought that was it. I thought I'd successfully run away from the most terrifying and wonderful thing that had ever happened to me. But Christopher wasn't going to let me go that easy. He showed up at my apartment building, the man who probably hadn't set foot in a neighborhood like mine in his entire life, standing outside with flowers, looking completely out of place and absolutely determined. Genesis peeked out the window and whispered, "Mama, that's your friend from work." I went downstairs. "Christopher, you can't be here. This is crazy." "I know," he said. "I know it's crazy. I know we're from completely different worlds. I know everyone will have something to say about it. But Taylor, I haven't felt this alive in years. You make me laugh. You make me think. You make me want to be better. And I know I'm probably just some rich guy to you, and you probably think I don't understand real life, but I'm asking you to give me a chance. Give us a chance." I wanted to say yes. God, I wanted to. But fear is a powerful thing. You don't know what you're asking, I told him. Your world. They're not going to accept me. I'm a black woman from the South Side who cleans houses for a living. Your family, your friends, society, they're going to tear us apart. Then let them try, he said. I'd rather fight the whole world with you than live another day without you in it. So I took a chance. A terrifying, beautiful chance. For a few months, it was perfect. We kept things quiet. He'd come to my apartment. We'd cook dinner together, the three of us. He'd help Genesis with her homework. He wasn't trying to replace her father or buy our love with expensive gifts. He just showed up. Consistently. Genuinely. But secrets don't stay secret forever, especially when one of you is a public figure. His mother found out first. And the meeting she demanded was every bit the nightmare I'd imagined. She sat across from me in a restaurant that didn't even have prices on the menu and looked at me like I was dirt on her shoe. How much? She asked. Excuse me? How much money will it take for you to disappear from my son's life? Name your price. I could have lost it right there, but I kept my composure. Mom, with all due respect, your son isn't for sale, and neither am I. She called me a gold digger, among other things. Some of those things had to do with my race, said in that polite way that's somehow worse than just being openly racist. I left that restaurant shaking and crying, and I decided right then, I couldn't do this. I couldn't subject Genesis to this kind of hatred. I couldn't put Christopher through choosing between his family and me. I quit my job, changed my number, told Christopher it was over. For 2 weeks, I cried myself to sleep every night. Genesis kept asking when Christopher was coming back, and I kept telling her he wasn't, baby. Some things just aren't meant to be. Then he showed up at my door again. But this time was different. I told my mother she's not welcome in my life until she apologizes to you, he said. I told my entire family that if they can't respect the woman I love, then they can have their inheritance and their name and all of it. I don't need any of it if I don't have you. Christopher, I'm not finished. I've spent my whole life doing what other people expected, being who they wanted me to be. And I was miserable, Taylor. Absolutely miserable. Then you walked into my life, singing while you worked, loving your daughter with everything you had, and you showed me what real strength looks like, what real wealth looks like. And I'm not letting that go. I'm not letting you go. He got down on one knee right there in my doorway. Genesis was peeking around the corner, eyes wide. I'm not proposing, not yet, but I'm making you a promise. I'm going to prove to you every single day that you can trust me, that we can build something real, that love is bigger than anyone's opinions. I let him back in. And he kept that promise. He helped me start my own cleaning business, not by handing me money, but by connecting me with clients, helping me with business plans, believing in me. My company grew. I hired other women who needed a chance, who needed to provide for their families. I went from being invisible to building something I was proud of. A year later, Christopher proposed for real. Not in some fancy restaurant, in his penthouse, the same place where I used to scrub his floors. He got down on one knee in that living room where he first heard me sing and said, "You never belonged on your knees cleaning. You belonged beside me, as my equal, as my partner, as my forever." I said yes through tears. We still face judgment. People still whisper. They still write articles questioning if I'm with him for money. His mother eventually came around, sort of, but some family members haven't. We get stares when we're out together. I've overheard comments. It's not easy. But you know what? We're happy. Genesis has a father figure who adores her. My business is thriving. And Christopher, he's not that tired, lonely man I met 3 years ago. He's vibrant. He's present. He's genuinely happy. People ask me all the time, was it worth it? Taking that risk? Facing all that judgment? And I tell them yes. 1,000 times yes. Because I learned something important through all of this. My worth was never determined by what I did for a living or how much money I had. My worth was always there. I just needed to believe it myself. And I needed someone who saw it too. So that's my story. From cleaning his floors to wearing his ring. They said it couldn't happen. They said we were from different worlds. But love? Love doesn't care about where you come from. It cares about where you're going. Together. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me what you think. Could you do what I did? Would you take that chance? And please share this video with someone who needs to hear that they're worthy of love, no matter what society says. Subscribe and turn on that bell because I've got more stories coming that'll make you laugh, cry, and believe. Remember, your worth isn't determined by your job title or your bank account. You are enough exactly as you are. Until next time, keep believing in love. It finds you when you least expect it.